Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I am Eric Tenkar, one of your hosts for tonight. And with me is the one and only Jim Kitchen, in this case, through no fault of his own, in the position to support the show. We've got Bad Mike. What's the word I'm looking for? Running late.
He's on beach time.
Yeah, he's on beach time. We all know what that means, right? Right. He's Mike is the one holding up the show, whereas Jim is the one supporting the show. So welcome. 17, nice numbers already in the room. Noah, Fugly, Doc, Kim, welcome all. Yeah, it's interesting times, isn't it? Interesting.
We have 21 shopping days left for Christmas.
Oh, only 20. I used to work retail. I used to work retail in a department store. And becoming a cop was less stressful than working Decembers.
I would imagine you would run into people stressing out over money, stressing out over gifts. And then this is how the downward spiral, and this is how people end up punching people in retail stores.
I remember this. I was 24 when I was approached by a gentleman, middle-aged, who asked me what I was buying my wife and kids for Christmas. I remember looking at him going, do I look that old right now to you? Am I that stressed? Because I was like, wife and kid. I'm 24, wife and kids. So I was like, ugh. Yes, Mike is holding. Mike will likely appear. We're not saying Mike won't. We know Mike has his own fan base.
It's a charitable expression.
Yeah, I know. Up. I knew he was going to show up. I knew he was going to be here.
Hooray, he's alive.
There we go.
Let's get a couple connection issues, but we're back. We are back in business here, folks. Sorry about that.
It's Mike at the beach. It's warm and rested, Mike.
I went to Mexico today. Went to Mexico today to get drugs. Get lots of drugs.
Drugs? You want to get drugs?
The legal kind, my man. The legal kind that old people get. Because drugs are really cheap in Mexico, it turns out.
Yeah.
So I loaded up on the good stuff, guys. So
I got a prescription for it. Don't worry about it. Don't ask no questions. Just fill up my
They don't know that they just, whatever. That they have a guy that'll tell you what the drug. If you ask for a consultation, they'll give it to you. But if not, they're not going to bother you. If you want to grab some, amlodipine or Monjaro or whatever, just tramadol. They'll let you know whether or not you can bring it back across the border, and that's all that they're done. So it was fun.
Warnings have been given.
I loaded up on the good stuff, guys. Let's just say that next few months will be nice. They're going to be happy.
Pain-free is what I'm hearing.
Pain-free, yes, pain-free.
Yeah, did you get Jim anything? I mean, come on, man.
It's all right. I'm good.
Well, I mean, I've got some extra strength tramadol, but you probably need more than that, my man. You're going to need some stronger stuff than that. So
it's been a long 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks tomorrow. So
oh man, I'm sorry. Any better? You feeling any better at all? Or
no? If I use my leg and I walk, and then my knee is just so it's a lot of fun. But Eric's been a busy beaver today.
He has.
Eric is popular,
and he has
one of the best. Kids are knocking on Eric's door to find out what's going on.
I have
one of the best quotes ever, too. One of my favorite quotes ever from him.
Which is what
the bubbling like a gelatinous cube eating a goblin. How did that go? That was great. That's a great quote.
And what's funny is I've had a couple of PMs on that one. I was like, I was drinking my coffee and I did a spit take when I read that. I was like,
rumors are, Jim, in case you didn't watch this video, rumors are bubbling hotter than a gelatinous cube consuming a goblin.
Wow. Wow.
I can
I
see
don't
that.
know. Maybe I
I
was
can
on what
see
Jim was
that.
taking, man. It seemed appropriate.
I did this when I heard that. I was like,
You know, honestly,
It's
most
this is going to be more lit than that drunken raccoon that broke into the liquor store and passed out next to the
what
toilet.
I just saw something. I saw a
Have you
headline
not
about
seen the
that.
picture?
No, I
oh my
didn't.
god.
Oh my god, the picture looks like every house party you've ever been to where the one guy managed to successfully get to the commode but then passed out next to it. And literally the raccoon's arms are in front of it, its legs are behind it, and is passed out after drinking 3 or 4 bottles worth of whatever it is that it crashed into when it fell into the liquor store. It's the greatest picture.
But
It's like it should be a Christmas card. It's so good.
much like many of us would look, Jim, if that happened to us. So I mean,
No kidding. No kidding.
matter of fact, we may have been there. I'm not going to make any promises or suggestions, but one or more of us, or perhaps all three of us, may have been there at one point in our life. So, you know,
We just a perchance.
So I love that we're already getting the, castles and crusades in the comments, right? I'm
Yeah,
enjoying this. That already the knives are being sharpened, the lances are being affixed. And 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 I think to myself, how can you be surprised, right? Number one, 5.5, 5 point, next, 5 point Perkins, whatever you want to call it.
oh yeah.
Um, seems to have not gone the way that they had hoped.
no.
And so I think the idea of joining chocolate and peanut butter together in some ways is it makes sense. I think the idea of having a Gygax whose name is on this product is not a bad idea. I think that there's a lot of discussion to be had. I I found myself today looking briefly at the new Eberron book, looking at the web page on the Wizards website and looking at the artwork. And again, it's more of what I would call the same. It's very tepid. Tepid will be the word I'll use. And there's a couple of things where obviously some dynamic action is taking place. There's one with an artificer with a fake arm. He's making a blow or whatever. But it's all just there's nothing exciting about it. There's no verve. There's no electricity. And I think we're 2 years out,
Yeah.
18 months out. They've got plenty of time to like make this a better version of D&D. And and if they want to marry the best of fifth edition and advanced, okay, sure. Like great. I don't care. I refuse to get caught up in the edition wars because the market will tell you what the successful things are. And fifth edition has been insanely popular, and 5 point Perkins has not. And and any number of reasons are behind the lack of success in the most recent version. But this new idea, okay, we've said for a while, the new guy says the right things. The new guy seems to be building bridges. The new guy is trying to mend fences. I think that this is part of that full court press, right? How better to show that we've misstepped than to get the son of the guy who 5 point Perkins and crew have been maligning for the last few years. I
Pretty
wish
much.
you luck. And if 6 point, if whatever you want to call it, if 2027's product is a better product and it can unite beardy grognards and theater kids and put the chocolate with the peanut butter and have a hit, I'm for it. I'm all for it. And to speak to Castles and Crusades, you know, you will never hear anything but love coming out of this guy for Steve Chenault and Troll Lord Games. I have acres of Troll Lord products behind me and in boxes and so on and so forth. But what Troll Lord does and what WotC does are two entirely different things. And okay, somebody's just made the comment. How are they going to backpedal and put Lou Geiger? You know what? The people who are probably most responsible for the absolute trashing of the old guard do not seem to be at WotC anymore. And I think that this is something that can come out slowly. You can leak this out in indirect channels. You can talk to this. You can talk to this if they want to. But the fact of the matter is that all the people who've been scolding us over why we liked Gary, or why that, all the people who have been just pointing at us aren't there anymore. Or if they are there, still there, they don't have a role in shaping how things are going, and so on and so forth. I
Yeah,
don't think
under new management. Under new
yeah, they're
management.
under new management. And you know what? The two guys responsible, the two guys most responsible for the most recent edition are no longer at WotC.
Yeah.
They are no longer on deck. And we've all, and I don't just mean this channel, I mean across the board, there's been enough pushback that it's got everybody's attention. And when you have that kind of pushback, companies respond. And I think we're seeing a response to that. We all saw the picture. We all saw the picture a month or two ago of Luke with Dan Ayub and some other people at a table playing games, playing a game of D&D, and that was the first hint of all of this, right? Because Luke and Dan are at a table together. How did that happen? Okay, we don't need the particulars, but it did happen, right? There's photographic evidence, and you
Right.
AI
It wasn't
conspiracy
Gary
people.
Kahn.
Yes.
This was up in Seattle, and it was specifically mentioned in the photos. They were playing 1E. So I know people are asking in the comments like, "What's the backstory?" There is a video up. Trust me. But the long story short is probably about maybe a month and a half ago. I heard my first rumor of 6E being some AD&D 5E conglomeration with Luke attached to the project in some unknown way. And I need more than just a rumor coming from one source before I start going and talking about it. I mean, I might have mentioned it to a few friends, but I wasn't going to do a video on it until I was able to get multiple sources that didn't come back to the same source at WotC. And I was surprised when I was able to get multiple sources that didn't come back to the same department at WotC. So they're coming back to different people who have different parts of the story, which kind of lets me, we got something. All right. And Luke was attached to it. Again, when I heard Luke's name come up multiple times and him with the Hasbro and Watch the execs, that's a PR shot. Okay, that's happening for a reason. It isn't just like, oh look, I just happen to be in Seattle and happen to have my AD&D rules out and let's play it. Oh God, Jim just sent me.
Anybody who thinks that picture didn't get vetted by the PR department of Wizards, and if it wasn't reshot multiple times just to get exactly what they wanted in the angles, you're delusional.
Right.
And
So
that's how this works. They may not have taken it multiple times, but they took it until they got the picture they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got the picture they wanted, it was cleared to go out on the socials, right? And everybody's agreeing about what's going to come out when. And so Luke will hold this to close to the vest until WotC says, okay, you can now start talking about it. And he'll be able to say, I'm going to be working as the brand ambassador / king of Greyhawk / whatever. He'll announce his role and say, I'm excited to see what's coming. The future is bright, blah, 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 blah. And say all the things that they want Luke to say, because that's going to be Luke's role. And WotC can say, listen, one of the things we've heard from is, why don't we take what really, really worked well in 5th edition and bring back some of the mechanics from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons that people have clamored for. We're tired of hearing that it's like bowling with bumpers. We're ready for a more intense version of 5th edition, and we've come up with this. Boom, mic drop. And then they have to deliver an edition that 5th edition players can understand and play, They have to deliver something with the iconography and the imagery that will make all the people who played AD&D go, oh, this is cool. And that's it. That's all they have to accomplish. Now, these are large goals, but these are not insurmountable goals. They can do this if they want. Did you want to show them the picture of our new hero of the week?
Yeah. I didn't want.
This
I
is
didn't.
wonderful. This might be the spirit animal of talking crit. Yes, folks, the police responded to the liquor store where somebody had broken in, and it turns out that actually no, it was a raccoon that fell through the ceiling. It then drank some of the alcohol that it had knocked over and broken the bottles, and they found our miscreant in the men's bathroom, passed out by the toilet, and then was removed by a well-meaning
as
police.
one will. Yes, as one will.
As one will. But there it is. There's the talking crit spirit animal.
No,
Our friend the raccoon.
That is just, oh man.
I mean, haven't we all been there? I think we
I've been there, you know.
Yeah, for some reason I'm thinking Skeeter, but I mean that's.
I recognize that hallway looks very familiar with you. That strewn bottle glass. I woke up at many a party in my apartment back in the day and saw that as
shards of glass and
everywhere.
Random, sometimes you'd wake up and you'd have a party. This is guys, this is 40 years ago. Okay, give me a break. I was in my 20s. You walk out into the. I had a bedroom and then I had a big living room and a kitchen, and I walk out for the bedroom, and there'd be people strewn across her that I had no idea who they were. I'm racking. I'm like, who is this guy on my couch with his underwear and a shirt on? I don't know him. And and that happened many times where I had no clue who the drunken miss. I'm just glad they didn't drive home. I was like, oh, well, at least they didn't drive home. They're just laying on my couch or on the floor of my kitchen or, by the fireplace, curled up in a ball, well, they didn't drive home. So that's a plus, but I have no clue who they are. And I have to go to work. Do I go to work and leave them in my apartment, or do I try to pick them up and bodily remove them? Do I wake them up? I mean, it was a dilemma. Many a day it was a dilemma. What to do with these broken husks and shells of humanity.
So I found the list of what all the raccoon drank. Rum, moonshine, peanut butter whiskey, vodka, and probably the best move, eggnog, showing that it had seasonal cheer.
I've had weekends where that was my exact list. Right.
That was my dinner, lunch, and breakfast the next morning.
I feel like this could be his shirt. Right? I was there. Let's look at this drink along game.
Let's look at this this objectively, this 6E, and let's do some pros and cons here. Now, I would say the pros for me would be they absolutely bollocksed up the 50th anniversary, right? I mean, we all agree on that. That was an absolute effing disaster.
However, so this is like a reboot, right? This is the second attempt at the Golden Ring.
Well, but as Eric pointed out, 1977 was the release of the Monster Manual, so that could be a new starting point. Okay, so let's forget about what happened 50th anniversary. Let's say the 50th anniversary of the first AD&D hardback is 2077. So they have a chance to roll back the clock and try to do this again. So if they get their ducks in a row in the next year, 2026, by 2027, they could have the release of 6E, and they could plausibly say, hey, this is the 50th anniversary of what we would call AD&D, the release of the Monster Manual. So that I think that would be much better received, because I think that, like I said, that everybody agrees they just absolutely just screwed the pooch on that 50th anniversary. It was awful. It was just terrible. And I think one of the things that we've talked about is one of the reasons they screwed it so hard is they didn't commit to anything. They wouldn't say this is 5.5. They very famously said this is not a new edition. This is not 5.5. It's not 5.1 or whatever. It's just kind of 5.0 plus some other. I mean, it was just kind of nebulous thing out there. They can absolutely commit to say this is 6E. We're going to release the 6th edition of D&D. So I think that they don't have the baggage of the past. They can just move forward and say, yes, this is absolutely 6E. This is not a slight iteration.
And I think exactly what you said is part of the problem of why 5 Point Perkins didn't sell. I like that nickname. I'm going to stick with
I
it.
like
5
that. I
Point
haven't heard
Perkins.
that before.
5 Point Perkins didn't sell because there was no compelling reason for you to buy it.
No.
Like nobody
They
said.
did that themselves, Jim. They did that themselves by saying this isn't
That's right.
no, this isn't a 5.5. I mean, at least say it's 5.5 or 5.1 or no. They refused to commit to anything because they were scared. They were scared that, well, if we commit to something,
They were a timid group of creatures, and they have gone off to their Narnia land of joy and.
They
And
certainly did not have the balls of that raccoon we just saw that had the
that raccoon is a brawler, my friend.
Yes.
Coyones.
They released it back in the wild. Can you imagine this raccoon is like, and let me tell you about this place I broke into. Right? You know, he might have had a hangover, but within an hour and a half, they just released it back in the wild, as you do with that kind of epic drunk, right?
He
you
had
just
the
have to let
sack
them
enough
go
to
their way.
mix liquors. He mixed liquors in a way that humankind should
Liquor
never.
the beer,
I'm
never
gonna tell
fear.
you,
Moonshine and peanut butter and eggnog.
Any of you 21-year-olds out there who think it's time for me to start drinking, do not do what the raccoon did. You will not be as treated as gently as he was, because there is no way you can mix all those liquors.
You will not go gently into that night, my friend.
No,
you will be hugging the toilet.
Ungently is being serviceable. It's going to be worse than that. So no, they were very timid. They did not want to commit to anything because look, 5e was still a huge seller. They didn't want to make the mistake they made with Pathfinder and say, oh yeah, we're through with 3.5 and then have Paizo jump up and make $1 bazillion out of it. So they just were in this no man's land. I mean, we're going to do something for 50th anniversary, but it's not really going to be necessary. It's not going to really be something that you have to buy.
But you can't mix the books, so you got to get the new ones because you can't mix them at your table. Because it's like Ghostbusters crossing the streams.
Right.
By the way, Agile, thank you for gifting 5 memberships out.
As always, yes.
As always, you are a huge supporter of the channel, and
we love you, man. We love you. But Eric, remember when this was happening, this is all going on, that they made it a point that this is the best selling edition of D&D ever, and we found out about the sales figures later, didn't we? They were terrible.
And freaking awful. Roll for Combat just did a video on it, that the public sales figures that he could find from the book trade and don't come anywhere close to that. And the assumption is, which we've been working off of, they've been at the very least double counting that. Well, if you bought the bundle, everything you bought in that physical digital bundle counts as an individual purchase. So yes, you got the digital version of the player's handbook with the physical. That's 2 players' handbooks, and that's because they're not
double dipping. They're double dipping their sale.
It's creative accounting, but all right, well, it's what it is.
But we found out that look, and we know by word of mouth. I mean, I don't know if Jim did as much on the street investigation as Eric and I did, but I went by game stores and I know game store owners, and none of them said they sold that book worth squat. Nobody had insight.
I have some insight with a couple of heavy hitter stores, and the best number I heard was 1 in 20, 1 in 25. Wow. For every 20, 25 copies of 5th edition Player's Handbook, they sold 1 or 2.
Jim, the largest game store in my area had 0 copies on the shelf. That's how, when they sold their initial 5 or 6 copies, they ordered no more copies. None. Yep. We're done. See you later. Yep. And so they sold the whatever initial shipment. That was it. They were done.
And that's across the board experience. I think if you look at it, I really am hopeful, right? I don't believe that Dan Ayub watches our show. I don't believe that. I don't.
Hi, Dan, if you are.
And if you go back, you can find any number of times where I have said supportive and hopeful things. And so I'm going to go down on record as saying another supportive and hopeful thing, which is I hope, and we can call it 6, we can call it the Luke Gygax edition, we can call it whatever you want. I really hope it meets some minimal expectations. I do. I really hope that it is a clever blend of advanced and 5th edition. I hope that the artwork makes some changes in some better ways. I think you can have black and white line artwork like think about all the great illustrations. Bill Willingham, Tramp, Tom Wam's illustrations in the Monster Manual. How many times did you look at that succubus illustration in the Monster Manual when you were a kid? Don't
Not
close
at
the
all.
story,
Never.
close the window. But you could have great black and white artwork as well as color, and we look at people like Ken and James. We look at people. There's no shortage of amazing artists out there that could bring new art that harkens back to the old art and could give this edition, okay, theater kids, you had the baby bumpers and now the gloves are off. You're playing laser tag, but guess what? If you hit somebody, they're going to catch fire. We wish you all the best. And this could be great. This could be the transitioning from, hey, it's 5th edition and everything's going to be okay and it's all going to be great, to he's dead. But what do you mean he's dead? My character's dead? Oh, my character is dead, right? Mortality, real consequences, some edge, some bite, Um, I think that would be okay. I think everybody can hold hands, sing kumbaya, and move forward. And I'm excited by that. I genuinely am excited by that. But I don't know if he can turn the ship fast enough to make that next version have that kind of edge that we would love to see. And truthfully, somebody just said WotC's going to screw this up. I don't believe that. I believe that WotC will make a product and that WotC will sell an amount of product. What WotC needs for this to be is they needed for it to be a bigger hit than 5th Perkins. They
Right.
need it to be something better than that. And I don't know if we'll have that or not. We'll see.
I look at it, and when we hear about Dan Ayub, part of the initial talk about Dan was he's still playing his original 1st edition campaign with his friends, playing with the same group, playing with the same rule set. So if we take that for what it was when he came in, he seems to be a fan of the older rule set, and if you are, it's usually because you're a fan of what comes along with that older rule set. When your actions possibly have consequences, and when your heroics is what earns you your treasure and your experience, not just going through the motions. So it's going to be interesting. And like I said, I had to sit on this to do my due diligence and make sure we had something. I don't, again, like I say in the video, I don't have a leaked rule set in front of you to say this is what we got. We don't have that. I don't even know if they have it at this point. It's still pretty early. But also the timeline fits with when Dan came to the company in the position he's at now to make all the calls, and how long it would take them to get something for internal play testing, let alone have something out by the end of the 50th anniversary of AD&D. If Dan is coming in and saying, why the bloody fucking hell did we not do anything worthwhile for the 50th anniversary of the brand that I am the brand everything right now, the next opportunity would be AD&D. That's the next pivot spot in this hobby that we look back on with so much love and nostalgia. That is the pivot spot. So it's going to be interesting to see if they hit that. I would like to see them hit that.
But I mean, by any measure, 5e is the most popular version of D&D ever published. Right. So, is it? Can you completely say we're done with 5e, we're going to
No.
move on. I mean, you can't completely do that, right? I mean,
I'm going to tell you my no inside information on this one, folks. This is just me spitballing, but whatever they give us is going to be a 5e, 1e, 5e, 2e hybrid of sorts, because I'm going to expect somewhere in the mission plan is this has to be backwards compatible to everything for 5e that we have out there. We don't want to make our catalog dead. So that's my prediction, is that it's going to be something that with here, take these 6 pages of rules, and then you can bring your House of Strahd into this new rule set. There's going to have to be some kind of compatibility with 5e, but by the same time, theoretically, you would expect some kind of compatibility with the OSR if that's the pivot. So again, we will.
So where are we with VTT / online playing / is that like? Are we
God,
done
is this
now?
GleeMax? Because I'm not prepared to talk about GleeMax.
Oh God, GleeMax.
GleeMax 2.0. So where are we at GleeMax 2.0, Eric?
We're talking
is this done? Are we done with
Right?
this? Or is this coming
We're
back?
talking about GleeMax forever, right? For the forever.
No,
GleeMax.
I mean seriously. They had
if
plans.
you don't remember, GleeMax was
plans.
going to be this amazing portal for gaming, and it has absolutely the worst name that actually. Didn't that come from a Kids in the Hall skit?
I don't even know where. It's just like, what stupid marketing? You know what would be really great?
But it's WotC, so let's just take a step back.
It's a drunk raccoon. It's what it is. It's like GleeMax.
Yes, drunken raccoons. I think the virtual tabletop stuff, this is all like that'll be baked into it. Like this is again, he's now got sole control over all the different aspects, right? There's going to be a much more concerted effort to make sure that on day one everybody's playing well with others and everybody's doing everything and so on and so forth. I think there's a couple of thoughts in the comment I wanted to address. If you have not watched The Critical Drinker on YouTube,
oh God,
I recommend The Critical Drinker. And one of the things that he really likes to do is he really likes to skewer actors, actresses, studios who are delivering the message. And I think no matter what edition going forward of Dungeons and Dragons, there is going to be some degree of the message, because the message. Come on, WotC is situated in the Pac Northwest. They are a left coast company. They are going to say a lot of things. This is an industry that is not going to move away from a lot of that. But I think if Dan's got his way to make it more marketable, it's going to be turned down. The orcs. We could spend decades talking about the terrible the way
we already have, Jim. We've spent decades talking. We literally
no. We've got decades to go, right? We've got decades to go. But will every witch have a septum piercing? I hope not. Will we have to have every other page with sparkly unicorns and kids in wheelchairs, adventures in wheelchairs, and so on? I don't know. I really don't know. I think there will always be some aspect of that in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think it's going to be the bludgeon over our heads that some of the more recent material.
Jim, I don't know. I was actually in Mexico today across the border in Progreso, and I saw several orcs wearing sombreros over there. And so, I mean, I am
not touching that with a 10-foot
ball. Absolutely. They did their research. They absolutely did their research on this because, that's, you're right. And, so much has been written about this already. I mean, it just feels tiresome to even go over if you do something so stupid, it becomes a meme. You've really effed up. And at this point, some of the stuff that WotC does are basically memes now, like the dwarven baker. Who's baking the cookies. I mean, that's like a meme now. The Mexican orcs. These are all memes because they struck a chord in people that enough's enough. This is ridiculous. Why, what are we doing here? Let's just play. Let's sit down and play a game. Let's not get, as you said, critical drinkers awesome. Let's not get the message involved. Why are we getting the message involved?
I again would point out that there's a word that people don't want to hear and don't want to admit to hearing and don't want to recognize, and that is fatigue. And when your product fatigues people because it's messaging, when your product is nothing more than yet another way of trying to inject a culture war into something, there's an excellent analysis of how traditional hobbies. I say this. I had a very joking conversation with somebody about a week or so ago about model railroading. I had a model railroad layout for a long time, and then we moved, and I had to take it down. But I still, I'm a guy that at the holidays wants to put track down and run some trains. I started when I was a kid, and I had a little HO layout. Later, I got into O gauge, and now at my age, I'm fascinated by standard gauge, which are the really, really big engines and trains from the 20s and 30s when railroading really model railroading got going.
Like Lionel?
Yeah, so I'm a Lionel guy. So one of the things that I was discussing with somebody who is also a model railroader is I said, one of the most interesting things that I'm waiting for is for the message crowd to tackle model railroading.
Oh boy.
And that I'm very interested to see how this will play out, that there isn't enough representation of various groups in model railroading, and that the manufacturers need to make a bigger effort, and so on and so forth. And truthfully, model railroading can be divided into a couple of camps. Number one are the rivet counters. And these people want authenticity. And it all goes back to the guy who complained when Lionel made a model and it only had 997 visible rivets, when he had in fact gone to a park and had counted, and there were actually 1,003 or 1,005 rivets. And that Lionel could not list itself as a fidelity, quality, scale manufacturer because they got some of the rivets wrong. Those people are out there, and we know who those people are within the role-playing game hobby. These are the people who are, hey, have you tried Iron Claw? Have you tried Claw Law, Spell Law? These are the people who think that, I can't even say it, Roll Master is the greatest game ever because it comes the closest to simulating the blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure.
Master.
Right. The majority of people who are model railroaders want to put down what looks like a racetrack on a board or under their Christmas tree and run trains and go, that's cool. And look, it smokes. And when I press the button, a horn goes, eh. They have accessories, whatever. They build their little worlds. 5-10% of model railroaders build a permanent layout, right? A 4x8 layout somewhere in their basement or whatever. I don't see the people behind the message jumping wholeheartedly at model railroaders and saying you need to have more representation for fill in the blank, and you need to make sets that are more conducive to fill in the blank wanting to buy these, and so on and so forth. I just don't see that happening, but that's exactly what's happened in role playing, right? Look at role playing games. I've said before, I'm the admin / owner of a group on Facebook for role playing. We have I think 18,000 members or whatever, and we went through this period of time where, of course, the people with the most niche products imaginable were really trying to make the biggest noise over their products, right? And several come to mind, but one of them that was very, 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 very interesting to me, just because of what all the content was. It was about witches. And it was a matriarchal world that the patriarchy had been thoroughly defeated. It never got a chance to rear its head. Women were in all prominent positions of power. Men were subservient to women. You can carry this out however far you want. A lot of artwork, higher production values than most of the things that you would see. But the sales were not there. And the sales, you could look this game up. You could see, I watched this game for 2-3 years off and on. And I watched long periods of time where sales in a single month or multiple months was single digits. This isn't a statement about the quality of the product. This is a statement that you found your audience, but your audience is much smaller than you expected.
Right.
And truthfully, 5 Point Perkins wanted to do this. They wanted to move away from the most successful edition so that they could have their name on a great, clever edition, and it landed with a resounding thud. Why are you fucking up 5th edition? Because it was fine. We sold more copies of 5th edition than anything else, and now you've come out with this edition that isn't an edition we have to buy. And oh, by the way, yeah, you should get this. We think maybe, and it landed the way you would exactly expect a half-ass product with half-ass promotion and no real emphasis to buy. So D&D whatever in 2027. I got a lot of high hopes. I got really low expectations. We'll see what comes out of it, but this is going to be Ayub's edition, right? Whoever works on it, it's going to be Ayub's edition because he's the one who's decided to start lining up the players. He's got Luke Gygax on board. Okay. I know that he's been talking to other people who were burned under the prior administration.
Right.
We'll see how this plays out. I have my fingers crossed. Does this mean that the great version of the documentary of D&D is going to finally hit one of the streaming services? I hope so. Does this mean that God help us, the Dragonlance project that got killed by the former head of WotC, does this mean that they're going to rebuild those bridges and go forward with that? I mean, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman are willing to play with these people because they went back and groveled to Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman and said, "We're really sorry. We screwed up." You know, the next stage on the apology tour is they go to Larry Elmore and say, "Dude, would you like to do Dragonlance covers? Because we'd really like you to do Dragonlance covers." And I feel sorry for the guy who did the art for those horrible editions because he's a great landscape artist. But the backlash was so bad he gave up his social media accounts.
That's not fair. That's not fair to the guy.
For asking him to do something that wasn't in his wheelhouse.
And if I remember correctly, wasn't it a really tight?
Now, hold on. What's Luke's creds? Luke was at his father's side. Melf is a character we are all familiar with. Luke had a life, but since his father died in 2008, Luke has absolutely honored the memory of his father with Gary Con. He has been at the forefront of a lot of the efforts of streaming. There are some things we'd all like to not talk about, like a certain wedding with Satine.
Oh yeah,
but
I didn't last anyway. So,
but for the most part, Luke is a guy who has absolutely. If you're willing to put him up and fly him to a convention, he's willing to sign, be on panels. He's about as great an ambassador for the Gygax family, for their father's creation, as you could hope for. And I say that, you know, I go to Gary Con. I work for Luke at the Gary Con auction. I've known Luke since 2000, I don't know, 15 years probably. No, maybe 15. Yeah, he helped write Legion of Gold, but come on, I think he might have had some help because he was a little young at the time. But really and truly, like, let's not question that. Let's question, what's this really going to look like? Like, what is 2027's product line going to be? Is it going to be a player's handbook, DM's guide, and a monster manual? Okay. Is it going to shake off the tepid? I mean, folks, if you haven't figured it out, every week I change the art over my shoulder. I have a lot of art. I love art. It's absolutely one of the things. I get up in the morning and I look every day for art that I haven't seen before. And I'm telling you that the art that's in the WotC product line, for the most part, now we can say whatever we want about the covers. the covers on some of the art is amazing, but when you get inside, it's tepid. It's absolutely tepid. It's the same kind of mishmashy. It's like going to Waffle House, and instead of getting a great Belgian waffle, you get something that came out of the freezer, has freezer burn, and is still cold in the middle from where they warmed it up.
Mhm.
You know, it's the saddest Eggo waffle you've ever had. Instead of a great fluffy light Belgian waffle with maple syrup, and you're in your zone. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see more than anything else. And you know, cross our fingers. I hope we'll see. But I don't knock deviant art artists because that's where that I mean all the great artists of the last decade are on deviant art because it's a money making revenue stream for them. You know, look at Stanley Lau. He's on deviant art. A bunch of these people are, and that's how a lot of people get found.
Yeah.
But Ken and James, Doug Kovacs, like Doug Kovacs was illustrating Dungeons and Dragons for fourth edition, right? They haven't had Doug back for a while. They should, frankly. They've got him doing magic cards, I think, and that's it.
So what is our expectation versus reality going forward when we're talking about AD&D or D&D sixth edition? I mean, what would you like to see versus what do you think you're going to see, Eric?
I think we're going to see a reskinning of 5e with some AD&D isms on it, and I would like to see it more of an AD&D with a skinning of some 5e trappings. But I think it's going. They're very invested in 5e, rightfully or wrongfully so. If they're going to go with 5e, you got to jettison anything from 2024.
Yeah.
You got to go back to 5e 2014 when you could find morale rolls, as Nova was pointing out earlier. You could find morale rules in the book in 2014. 2024, there's like a passing mention. It's no longer rules. You want the rule set that actually remembers its roots to at least partially. 2024, the roots were they wanted to get as far away from the roots of the game as possible, and I think that they have to go back. So maybe this is how they do it.
Jim, what reality versus what you would like to see?
The reality will be that it comes up short of all of my expectations to attempt to make something that is as wide as possible to recapture the fifth edition market. What I would like to see, I would love to see, let's just say they're going to do the 3 books, Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, Monster Manual. I would really love to see something. There are some amazing artists that could redo those 3 covers. And I don't mean like the way Troll Lord sort of did them. I love Troll Lord, but those covers are okay. Think about the Player's Handbook, the 5th edition Player's Handbook cover, and how absolutely spectacular that was. That fire giant is coming off the table at you. It's just great. I want to see an edition. I want to see an edition that makes me as excited to turn the pages as I was when I got my copy of the DM's Guide, my copy of the Player's Handbook, and my copy of the Monster Manual. I want something that every page, every 2 pages has something on it that's just evocative. And that more than anything else, like I hate to say this, but the first book has to be a home fucking run.
Yeah.
And it has to be dangerous and have an edge. And I don't mean it needs to be edgy because it's got a septum piercing and my hair is like a funky colored mohawk. It needs to be dangerous. It needs to be skullduggery. It needs to be brave. I think you really want to upend the apple cart. Give me the races we had in AD&D and take this mamby-pamby sombrero wearing bullshit out of the game, because it landed with a gigantic we all made fun of it. We all made fun of it for a reason. And so do me a favor and hit course correct, because it's clear that 5 Point Perkins didn't land. And you should learn lessons from that. And you got the next 8 to 10 months to do every survey in the world and say, do you own this? Yes. What do you like about 5-Point Perkins? Well, it's really great for propping up the table that rocks back and forth. What did you hate about it? Everything. Here's my list. They need to listen to their customers. And I don't think they're doing that. That's why 5th edition, I go back to this, I say this frequently. 5th edition was the most play tested, most thoroughly audited, track every decision, track every change. There's no edition of Dungeons and Dragons that comes close to how thoroughly vetted it was. And really and truly, if you don't want to fuck this up, you need to do the same goddamn thing with 6th edition, and you need to not give it the Perkins treatment.
Mike, what's your
Well, so I asked you guys first because I'm going to just go on record here. Is I have not formulated a plan yet because this has been just entered my consciousness so quickly and so abruptly. I mean, I could probably. I have no clue. I have no clue what this is going to end up looking like. It could be anything from a home run to a strikeout. I don't know, but I agree with a lot of points you guys made. I would like to see something that re-energizes the D&D community, that doesn't pander, that doesn't focus solely on the message, that focuses on gameplay and old school, sensibilities. I just don't. I don't know if we're going to see that. That's me wishing for a perfect world because I think there's going to be certain people that always need to be appeased, and they're going to. And for some reason, I don't know why, WotC has this weird obsession the last 10 years of not listening to their base and listening to fringe people on the fringe that think this is the most important thing we should be focusing on when everybody else is like, hey man, I want to go down a dungeon and kill some stuff. And they're like, no, you want to work at a medieval Starbucks. We know because that's what I want to do. And I know what I want to do is important or more important than what you want to do. I don't want to go down and kill monsters. Besides, but maybe those monsters. I mean, that's very colonial of you to go and that's. I don't want and I'm just scared that that's still going to be the way they're going to roll on that. I would hope not. I hope that's something they're going to say. Look, this is a game. This is a game that people play. There's no reason to mess this game up with all this extra bullshit. Let's just play a game. Let's just sit down and play a game and have a great time and not have to worry about all this extraneous garbage. But I don't know. I don't know if they can do that. I really don't know if that's going to be allowed. I don't know why it wouldn't be because, like I said, I hate to break it to people, but these people who want to make the game more not fun are not the majority. They're a fringe. They're a fringe chunk of the hobby. And I don't know why you listen to them.
So people always forget. There's a great comment. There was a great comment somebody made. Dean Aldridge said, "Dice and imagination is all we need." I don't disagree with that. I don't. I'll be the first person to say that miniatures, and I'm a miniatures guy. Miniature guys are unnecessary for D&D. They're nice, but it's an add-on. And what I would say to Dean is I don't disagree with that comment at all, except, right, here's who I'm thinking about. Here's who I'm thinking about for 2027. I'm thinking about the kid that's going to be 11 or 12 in 2027, and it's going to be his or her first steps into the hobby. Right. And I caught myself, right, because reflexively, I would say his first steps in the hobby. And as soon as I said it, I was like, no, wait a minute. Right. Kelsey Dion is a classic example of somebody who came into the hobby organically. And I'm a little retrograde in my thinking, but really and truly, there's a kid out there who does not know what role playing is right now. They are in 4th grade or 5th grade. And in 2027, their first exposure to the hobby is going to be the new edition version of the core rule books. And this is what I would say. Yes, dice and imagination are all you need. But we all know how kids play role-playing games, right? It's kill the monsters, get the treasure, kill the monsters, get the treasure, kill the monsters, get the treasure. And what we want is we want those kids to realize that there's more to RPGs than just killing monsters and getting treasure, that there's crafting a world, there's crafting a campaign. It's not just one-off adventures. That what we want them to do is start thinking about their first steps in not only being a dungeon master, but also being a world builder, and helping them understand storytelling and collaborative storytelling, and helping them understand that if you have a really great experience where, the one guy, the doofus in the party charges the frost giants and then dies, and the pyromancer drops the fireball that wipes him out. This is funny, and we'll be telling this story for 20 years. Help them understand that. And so, yes, dice and imagine are the only tools you really need, but we have to understand that these books are what's going to help them transition into the hobby in a way that they're going to grow, and they're going to understand that there is more than just killing monsters and getting treasure. And real quick, last point.
Go ahead, Jim.
We buy comic books and we watch superhero movies because at heart, we all understand Peter Parker. We all understand being the awkward kid. We all understand wanting to be heroic. And when you lose sight of the fact that role-playing games are there for you to embrace some form of heroicism, to make yourself above ordinary. Somebody earlier in the comments said, I don't want to be a hay farmer or a gong farmer or whatever. I want to be a hero.
Right.
Okay. Yes. And this is a fundamental point. Like, it is funny when you're in a DCC funnel and you got 8 characters and one of them makes it to level 1. That's funny. But for the most part, in campaigns and so on, people want to be heroes, and you have to give them the opportunity to be a hero.
Look at one of the most successful franchises of all time. I mean, there's many. Let's just take James Bond. James Bond has a formula. You take a sexy guy with a British accent. He's a secret agent, and he has all kinds of little gadgets to help him do his job. But the main part about this guy is he has the utmost confidence that he's the most badass guy in the world. He can have any woman he wants. He can defeat any foe he wants. He does it with style. Now, a lot of times towards the end, it gets a little shaky. Is he going to succeed or not? But in your heart, he's going to win, right? Because he always wins. And sometimes he just pulls it out by the seat of his pants. So that's a formula. That formula has been a successful formula since 1961. And they've made 26 movies. And look, when the star gets old, they replace him. Then you go from Sean Connery to Roger Moore to Timothy Dalton. I mean, but for the most part, these movies follow a formula, and the formula has proven successful. Now, the latest iteration of Bond died in the last Bond movie, and they're going to bring Bond back. I would look at what they're doing, and I would say that I would bet almost any amount of money they're not going to bring Bond's not going to be a multicultural woman who spouts feminism and doesn't drink and is a vegan and has too much respect for other men to sleep with. I mean,
septum piercing, colored hair, shaved sides. That's not who she's going to be.
That might be that might be a great movie, but it's not James Bond.
Right.
James Bond. It could be a cool concept. Look, I like movies like Salt and gunpowder milkshakes. I love strong, kick-ass women, but that's not what James Bond is. You have a formula that's worked for my entire lifetime, 60 years. Don't mess with the formula. And so that's what I see when you look at something like, what can we do with D&D to make it different or modernize this? That nobody said they want that. Like Jim said, go down the dungeon. You kill monsters and you come back up and you have treasure. You spend your money and then you go back down. You get more treasure. And when you get high enough level, maybe you want to build a castle. Maybe not. Maybe you want to roam the world like Clint Eastwood in High Plains Drifter. And I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you don't change the formula so much that it's unrecognizable and it's no longer the thing that everybody likes. And I think that is WotC has been fairly close to doing that the last 5 or 6 years.
And let's be clear. The people who absolutely want to hit you over the head with the message, the people who every day wake up trying to figure out how they can come into some kind of situation where they will absolutely have a chance to deliver the message. Those folks are out there, but they represent an incredibly small amount of people. And it doesn't matter what message, right? It doesn't matter left, right, top, bottom. It doesn't matter. Whoever the people are that go out every day with a message to beat somebody with a stick with, they represent the smallest group of people. And 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 the OSR comes up in the comments. And again, you're not going to see any of the three of us ever disparaging the OSR. Of the three of us, I'm the one who's like, okay, we're getting a little retready on things, right? Like I do see some of the same things pop up over and over again.
Sure.
And we can all go, okay, I've seen so many homages to B2 at this point that my eyes can't roll back in my head any further.
North
if
Texas
you want,
may have another one.
right? If you want to give me a really interesting new version, reskinned version of the Village of Hamlet, I'm willing to give it a try. I'm willing to give it a read, right? But it can't just be that you changed everybody's names and left it like it is. Like, please don't do that to me. But if you want to set up a Village of Hamlet in a dwarven hold, okay, sure. If you want to have the players stumble into a lizard man version of the Village of Hamlet, I'm okay with that too. I don't care. But the OSR exists. The OSR exists to give us great alternatives to mainstream products from WotC and others. And the OSR can take risks. I have frequently on this show spoken of Anthony Husso, Huso. His website is the Blue Bard. Anthony makes amazing RPG products. High recommend. I'm going to talk about him next week. I'm going to talk about him now. He lost his wife in November to cancer, and they've got little kids. And I don't know how this is going to impact him. We can all speculate, but I'm sad on a lot of levels. I'm sad as a human being. I'm sad as a dad. I'm sad as a husband. I'm sad because here's a guy who has been making steadily better and better products that are just amazing. And now he's suffered the most absolutely tragic loss imaginable. But he set out to make something amazing, and he has built a chain of products. There's no shortage of RPG. There's no shortage of RPG creators in the OSR, independent, whatever you want to call it, middle tier, and so on, that are all doing great things. We've beat Shadow Dark to death on this show. I'm not going to go in there, but look at who these people are. Next week's episode about what you ought to buy for Christmas. I think we're going to consciously, I'm going to throw the gauntlet down, and I don't think you're going to hear Eric, Mike, or I recommending Wizards products or high tier manufacturer products. What we want you to do is we want you to explore the middle tier. We want you to explore the smaller publishers. We want you to throw your dollars that way because it's the encouragement to get them through fourth quarter. So
I want to say something to somebody that may or may not have private messaged me. I'm not being sexist with my Bond analogy. I'll give you another analogy. Glenn Powell's a great actor. I love Glenn Powell and his comedies and movies. But if the next James Bond is Glenn Powell and he's based in L.A. and instead of martinis he drinks Bud Light and he uses a machine gun, I'm out on that.
He's
too.
Matt Helm. He's going to be flipping Matt Helm.
That's Matt Helm. That's no longer.
That's Matt Helm. That's not James Bond.
Yeah, so I'm out on that too. I'm out on anything that mixes with the formula because, as I pointed out in my comments, they've done studies on why James Bond has been such a successful formula for 60 years. It's because men and women love Bond. He's their sexy dream man that they would be in a bar and this sexy guy comes up in a suit and orders a martini and looks at him with a smoldering glance and they just I mean, this is not just guys going, man, he's a badass.
Here's the deal. Bond has to accomplish a few things. Bond has to be sufficiently ruthless when the time comes, right? And we can all remember the very first Daniel Craig movie where he has the fight at the start of the movie in the bathroom with the guy he has to kill. And the guy comes in the bathroom and they have an absolutely brutal, no holds barred fight.
Lockdown
And
drag.
Bond drowns him in a sink. And then goes upstairs and whacks the guy that he was sent to kill. That's who guys want to see. They want to see a ruthlessly capable, let's throw down. What do women want to see? I can tell you exactly the scene from that movie, which is when Daniel Craig walks out of the Caribbean waters in nothing but his little tiny swimsuit. And I still to this day remember the low guttural moan of all the women in the audience when that man stepped out, and then it was followed by the sound of dozens of pairs of underwear trying to whoosh off their bodies, because that's what women want to see. They want to see a sexy, dangerous man that when he gets you in the bed, he knows what he's doing. He doesn't need a roadmap. You don't have to give him directions. He's got it figured out. And you don't care how many guys or how many women he slept with. You know that when he steps into the room, T's are going to get crossed, I's are going to get dotted, and you're going to be like, dear diary, I'm going to be sitting on the old folks' home porch remembering this night for the rest of my life. That's what they want.
Women get the same thrill out of that as we got as little kids on TV the first time we saw Ursula Andress walk out of the ocean in Dr. No, and we were like 10 years old and we're like, I feel funny.
I'm tingling and I don't know why.
What does this mean?
I feel weird.
And the best moment, like one of my favorite moments in one of the Daniel Craig Bond movies, is they had Ana de Armas in it. And what I loved is she didn't bang Bond. She didn't sleep with him.
She was kick-ass. Yeah.
She was eminently capable. And she's just a brief character, but she's so memorable because she's deadly, she's capable, she is immune to his charms, and she's on screen, and then she's off, and it's done, and it's
she has
over.
some great fight scenes. Her fight scenes are awesome, and she does. If I remember correctly, she drinks. He and Bond have a slug of whiskey, and they get down to the killing stuff because they got to kill some bad guys.
And Michelle Yeoh.
She's a great
Michelle
character.
Michelle Yeoh was recruited for that terrible Daniel Craig, or not Daniel Craig, but for the Pierce Brosnan movie, and they essentially sold her the bill of goods that they were going to give her own movie afterwards, and they did not. I see these characters appear in the Bond movies, and it's always like, okay, this is the character that resists Bond's charms, is a capable secret agent, and Halle Berry, the same thing. They promised Halle Berry that she might have a spinoff. Halle Berry, there will be no spinoff. Ana de Armas went into this with eyes wide open. There will not be a spinoff. But we know what we want. We know what we want. This is why Alien works so well as a horror movie, because it's a locked room, locked house horror movie, and they're all getting picked off one after another. Aliens is an action adventure movie, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. We used to use the armored personnel carrier scene from Aliens as a defining example of bad leadership, i.e. Gorman, and great leadership, i.e. Ripley, because Gorman fumbles the ball at every opportunity as the lieutenant. He's out of his depth. He's not listening to subject matter experts. He's making mistakes left, right, and center. And Ripley steps in, takes over command, and so on. I just think the notion of making a game that doesn't give people what they want, and I do mean the majority. Don't go out of your way to mollycoddle the messages. Go out of your way to make this the biggest net possible, the most evocative net possible, and make this something just grand.
And you know, how seldomly does it work when you take a franchise, like you said, any franchise, and I'll even go, I mean, just go even, let's say Batman, a comic book that's been around since the 1940s. I mean, how often does it succeed when you change up concepts so much that the original character is unrecognizable? You lose both the hardcore fan that wants to see the same thing over and over again, but maybe a little variation, and you lose the casual fan that no longer can just walk in a movie and relate to that character. So,
But this is what happens when movements take over something, right? You know, movements are like a wasp that stings something and then takes over its nervous system. Right? Because what they want is like you have a hobby and it's going along fine, right? Smurf collectors. Smurf collectors are like, oh, I really love this stuff from the late 70s, and I've got this little mushroom house, and I've got the big mushroom house, and I've got all these, and I've got the original Schleiss first 101 or whatever Smurf collectors do. And then somebody comes along and they insert themselves in the hobby and they say, well, that's great, but wouldn't multicolored Smurfs be great to open up the doors for other people to collect Smurfs besides people who just fancy blue Smurfs? And pretty soon they're getting people to bend to their will. They're getting people to change what it is that made the hobby special and unique. They're subverting the rules. They're subverting the hierarchies. They start excluding the people who've been there from the beginning and helped build the community. And by the time it's done, they've managed to kick out the core of what made it a thriving community. And what you're left with is an intense, radical core that now has their multicolored Smurfs and so on and so forth. But it's not selling, and it's not going anywhere.
Look what happened to Star Wars. You know, there hasn't. I don't know if people realize there hasn't been a new Star Wars movie in 7 years. And this was a franchise that had movies planned and spin-offs and series.
There should have been a movie, a Star Wars movie every year since Disney bought it.
And they screwed the pooch so hard on that one that there hasn't been a movie for 7 years. Now, yes, Disney Plus has had plenty of TV shows during that time, some which cost as much as a movie. Looking at you, Acolyte failure, but which costs as much as a movie. But they have not been able to do a movie because they moved so far away from the core concept of what makes Star Wars that their audience, their casual audience, is not interested. The hardcore audience is definitely not interested, and they're left with fringes. They're left with people that think look, the Mandalorian's a great idea.
Take over a thing.
It's
the movements will take over a thing, skin it, kill it, skin it, and wear its suit and pretend to be the movement.
Yeah,
or pretend to be the hobby.
All the Star Wars isn't terrible, but the stuff that's good is niche. Andor is niche. I'm sorry, it's a niche product. It really is. Mandalorian is a niche product.
You're talking about
is a Western. It's a Western. It's basically a Western. Mandalorian is a Western in outer space.
Mandalorian is a remake of the goddamn Baby Cart movies.
Yes, the Lone Wolf and Cub.
Jesus Christ, it's not even a fucking Western. It's the Baby Cart movies. I've got my ambulance.
So you have these niche concepts that sometimes succeed, sometimes don't. Instead of just sticking with the idea that, look, here is what we want to do, and just do it. You can do the same thing, but you can do it different every time. I know that sounds weird, but that's true. You can do the same thing every time differently and make it matter. And you have to. And the Marvel Comics had a. I'll just do it real quick. I'll let you have the stage here, Jim. Marvel Comics had an idea that Jim Shooter used to espouse. He said our audience turns over every 7 years. So every 7 years, you can reintroduce concepts you used to have before because these are kids that did not read it when it first came out. So his idea was you can do the same things, just do it, wait about 7 years, then redo it. Because at that point, your audience has flipped over. That's the same thing with almost anything. If you look at it now, and I don't know what the cycle is now. Is it 10 years? Is it 5 years? You can do the same thing, but you just have to wait long enough for those kids to grow out of it or those people to grow out of it, and you bring it back and let the new generation experience it and say, wow, this is really cool. What is it? What's D&D? Well, I mean, What's D&D? Well, Gary Gygax did this, and this happened, and you're a fighter and you're a paladin. Like, well, that's pretty cool. And then every 5 to 7 years, you reintroduce that concept and say, we're going to go back. We're going back. We're going to do the same reintroduction.
Do you want my idea? Would you like my idea for a one-shot television show from Disney that would make everybody who likes Star Wars watch it?
Do it.
Oh boy.
Star Wars Charybdis. Star Wars Charybdis. That what you have is the new Republic has reports on the outer rim of an Imperial remnant that is more ruthless, that is deadlier, that they're making hit and run raids with a Star Destroyer, but something's different. Nobody really understands it, right? These are horrific hit and run raids. And the New Republic has got to get their heads around this because it's clearly they're destroying, they're literally coming in, they're destroying towns, they're taking slaves, and they're leaving rubble and ruin behind. And you have like a 13 episode arc. And the initial reports are it's an Imperial Star Destroyer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then about halfway through the show run, they managed to make it to a system. But one of the things that's so off, we all know that Thrawn's Star Destroyer had the decoration on it, right? This one has decoration too, because what it is it's not an Imperial remnant. It's pirates. You throw back to that sequence of early Marvel comic books where a bunch of pirates had come across a decimated Star Destroyer and managed to take it over, get it back into working order, and we're carrying on. But you take this just a little darker and a little farther. And now the New Republic is trying to find and fight a piratical Star Destroyer. And they've got to get ahead of this. And you end in one final cataclysmic battle that finally puts these horrible people, but that gives you 13 episodes that people will absolutely turn in week for week to watch. Because when it finally comes and you realize they're not stormtroopers, right? They might be wearing remnant pieces of stormtrooper armor and so on and so forth. But of course, one of our fearless rebel pilots gets captured and dragged before the captain of the ship so that they can do some monologuing. You realize this is the worst crew imaginable to have the power of a Star Destroyer. Shit, make it worse. Make it a super Star Destroyer, where literally all the manpower that they've been capturing is being put to use trying to bring more and more systems of the Star Destroyer online. That's my idea.
I think it's a good idea, Jim, because one of the problems I think Star Wars ran into was every trilogy we have, the bad guys are the same bad guys, basically. And the plot line is either you're going to blow up a Death Star at the end. That's kind of the same. So you kind of have the same plot lines over and over again without enough variation, without different foes. I mean,
right.
Wouldn't anybody love to see a foe that's not the Empire or not remnants of the Empire? And one of the dumbest things that Kathleen Kennedy said, and my God, you could fill a book with the dumb things that lady has espoused out, was that, well, we had to make up our own stuff because there was nothing written about Star Wars. You dumbbell. Look, the Thrawn trilogy is one of the coolest Star Wars novel trilogies of all time. Easily could have adapted that. Actually, honestly, the Zan, most of the Zan novels are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You had a whole universe of novels out there you could have adapted that all would play into the fact that you could still have Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill because they aged. These guys, Timothy Zahn aged them in his books along with that and did books about their kids and their kids' kids and this, that. There was a whole universe of very well-written novels out there that could have followed. And the best thing about that was they weren't always fighting the Empire. They had other foes. They had other bad guys.
Mike Stackpole made a shit ton of money on Rogue Squadron.
Yes,
right.
But they did the thing where which I hate when they say you know what? We're smarter than the guys that writers, authors. We don't need that. We're smarter than that. We know more about their product than they do. We're
Right.
we're gonna do a trilogy where the first trilogy is basically a remake of the first Star Wars movie. Okay, whatever. The second one, we're gonna give to a director, while he's an excellent director, is known for subverting tropes, and he's gonna take this in a totally left wing crazy direction. Then by the third novel, we have to bring back the first guy back to redo everything that the second. I mean, it was a disaster because there was no plan. And if they just had taken a trilogy of Timothy Zahn novels, is it Zahn or Zahn? I'm not sure. Zahn. I've always said Zahn. So maybe Timothy Zahn novels. They just taken one of his trilogies and adapted it. People would have gone nuts. They would have absolutely gone abes, because everybody loves those books. And they were bestsellers, millions of copies over. You know, so saying that you know better than these people, it was just the peel of doom. You know, and Kathleen Kennedy said, well, there was just nothing written out there. There was it's like 100 novels written.
What the thing is with Kathleen Kennedy is she just was like, well, this is no longer canon. This is not canon. We are wiping the slate clean. Therefore, none of this and the rich universe that was created over decades, and she could have mined it with all these on-demand TV series. Just,
I mean, Heir to the Empire is a great book series. Heir to the Empire is awesome. You know, and yes, it does have the Emperor come back, but he comes back in an interesting way, not the stupid way they brought him back in the movies, but he comes back in a kick-ass way. And you know, I mean, there was just so much to mine there that they dropped the ball so badly. And once again, it's because, you know, you take a product and you can continue a franchise and it can be successful, but you can't change it too much. You have to stick with what people enjoy about that product. You're not smarter than your audience. You're not smarter than the creators of the product. If you're smart, look, the best writers at Marvel and DC, what did they do? The best writers, they took older concepts and they subverted them. I know, Jim, this is one of your favorite series, the Walt Simonson Thor. He took this cool idea. What if somebody else picked up the hammer of Thor and they were worthy, just like Thor was? And it was one of the most amazing comic series of all time.
It's when Odin calls his son back and he gets a weird looking alien and it's all like, who the hell are you?
But I mean,
you're not my son.
He built off what had been built before by Stan Lee. Yes. And Kirby. He didn't say their work sucks, I'm going to just do whatever I want to do. No, he took what they did and made it, you know, and made it better. And that's what the best comic writers do. You know, that something that for some reason everybody feels like they have to make their mark. And I understand wanting to make your mark. That's great. But one of the ways you don't make your mark is by jettisoning everything that worked for the character and saying, I'm going to do this now, and it's going to be so different, you're not even going to recognize the character. No, we don't want that. We don't want to not recognize the character. We want to see the character in there, but we want to see you take it in a different direction that maybe, look at one of the another successful comic run of all time was Frank Miller's Daredevil. He's the same Daredevil, except that Frank Miller said, what if he fights ninjas and the Kingpin? Well, the Kingpin's a Spider-Man villain. Let's make him, I don't know. He's a bad guy, and Frank Miller Daredevil needs a bad guy, and he became the most iconic Daredevil villain of all time. This big fat guy that has a stick pin that shoots out rays. I mean, he made him into a menacing, horrific, just the most badass evil person ever, and he gave him a ninja girlfriend, and it worked. Because he took the same character and he said, we're going to do these different things with your character. What if the Kingpin finds out that Daredevil's Matt Murdock?
So one of my favorite comic book moments that I was reminded of is in Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., where we first get our glimpse of Lady Viper, right? And I mean the classic Lady Viper where she's got the sort
green
of
outfit
haircut. the long black hair and the green outfit and
Yes.
Shigo or whoever. But there's a great moment in the artwork where she is absolutely the epitome of ruthlessness within Hydra, right? You look at her cross-eyed as one of the like infamous green goons. You look at her the wrong way, you don't have the right answer, she's just going to kill you.
Right.
And if you're lucky, it'll be quick, because otherwise she'll just do you in slow. And there's a great moment in the artwork where, in the narration, where she has a scar, that the hair is covering a scar. And when she's alone, this is what undoes her, because her absolutely astonishing 1900 charisma, her unbelievable beauty is marred by this scar. And just like Victor Von Doom, she cannot get over this, right? This is one of the things that drives her. This is one of the things that pushes her. This is one of the things that this is a human foible we recognize, we understand in ourselves, right? This is what causes guys to get those terrible hair plugs. This is what causes people to get facelifts and tummy tucks and all the rest of it. When we see these little elements, we recognize that somebody writing the script understands this stuff. I have no time for what Disney has done. Like, the most interesting thing to me, Disney Star Wars, is the revelation that Claudia Black won't be back for Acolyte because she couldn't work out a deal where Disney would pay her enough to move the family to London and shoot the damn show. And I think, okay, now I'm a little tired of Claudia Black. Or, like, at one point she was in everything science fiction on Sci-Fi Channel, and I was getting a little tired. I get that you were on that the Jim Henson Muppet show, whatever it was. I get
Farscape.
that she was on Farscape, and then she landed on, God help us, like everybody else, they wash up on the shores of Stargate and spend a couple of seasons hanging around, and so on and so forth. And I guess it's a career, but you cast her for a reason. And then you buried her under makeup, so I didn't even realize it was Claudia Black.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to pay her enough to uproot her family and spend 6 months or 9 months or whatever in England making your damn show. London's insanely expensive.
And Ashoka actually was one of the better ideas. No, I say Ashoka was actually one of the better ideas for a Star Wars TV show too. Which so why would you want to sabotage one of the better ideas you had by not paying an actress?
And every day there are people at Disney every day who are terrified they're going to lose their jobs until somebody gets the answers to two questions: how do we make great Marvel movies again, and how do we make great Star Wars movies again? Because every single day there are people sharpening knives for the chance to stab people in the back and try to be the person to become a hero on this. And I wish them all the best, but as long as, they have to just veer away from what made Star Wars and Empire and Jedi so amazing. We talked about this before. The most Star Wars like movie that Disney has managed to put out is, in fact, Guardians of the Galaxy #1.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy #1 has more in common with Star Wars than anything Disney has done Star Wars. It's the same vibe.
Group of rebels. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fighting against the evil empire. So to bring this back around, we're talking about this because we're talking about how you can screw a franchise up. Do we have a hope that WotC's not going to screw this up by just saying, well, we'd like to do all these cool things, but the message is too important. We're going to have to just we'd like to just make this back to D&D and dungeon crawl and this and that, but we've got to have.
I will say this. I will say this. I think that the pendulum has started to swing.
Yeah.
And I think that corporate America has had a come to Jesus moment about messaging and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong. There are companies where it's entrenched and absolutely dug into their DNA and so on and so forth. But but saner voices seem to be prevailing on
Don't you
some
get
of this.
tired of losing? Don't they get tired of losing money after a while? I mean,
Well, that's just it, right?
Right.
That you do get tired of losing money, and you do get tired of the red. And here's the thing. There's talk of fraud in a former state that I used to live in. And what I would say is this is we talk about the law of unintended consequences on this show a lot, right? That, oh, I can't believe that we changed a thing and took out all the stuff that people love, and now people won't buy that thing. I don't understand. You're an idiot. But let me throw this out, right? A thing will last forever until it can't. And when you run out of money, when you're out of options, when the cash crunch finally hits, and there are starting to be questions, that's when this stuff stops. And when you have TV show after TV show that bomb, let's not forget that Marvel didn't just screw the pooch with all the Star Wars stuff. Secret Invasion. I never watched an episode of Secret Invasion.
I
never watched a
so
single
bad.
episode of,
So
of Secret Invasion.
It was so terrible. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Right.
I watched it that one
because-
summer. I had free Disney Plus for a month. I watched it, and I said, why?
Right. And
Why?
let's think about what's her name, the witch from the WandaVision show.
Scarlet Witch, yeah.
No, not Scarlet Witch. The other one.
What's her name? Kathleen.
Yeah.
Not Haynes. God, I can't.
Yeah. But
Kathleen Hahn.
she had her own
Kathleen Hahn.
show.
Yeah.
She had her own
Kathleen
show.
Hahn.
Did you watch it? Because I didn't
terrible.
watch it.
No, it's awful.
It was yes, right.
Just absolutely.
I think all of this stuff is. I think this is all classic examples, right? Because the fact of the matter is when you spend this kind of money and you get no return, and you're critically savaged over this stuff, and people aren't watching it, you can only burn money. You can only set fire to money and watch it burn until you run out of money, right? The reason that fraud in Minnesota, Minnesota used to have a budget surplus in the state's budget. This is one of the reasons why they used to tout why you wanted to live in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota for 12 years. Everybody knew what was going on shenanigans-wise. Everybody understood that there was a lot of fraud in Minneapolis around a lot of this stuff. And guess what? They went from budget surpluses to horrific deficits that are only exploding and exploding and exploding. And the reason, and people have been trying to cover this for years, it won't get traction in the local press and so on. But when they've run out of money, the jig's up. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, you look at, I'll go back to comics real quick. Some of the best innovations, some of the comics we were just talking about, only occurred because these titles were in the toilet. Thor was in the toilet.
You got nothing to lose.
Do whatever you want with it. Daredevil was so bad at one point, it was bi-monthly and had a different author and artist every issue because it was just like, who wants to do Daredevil this month? Are you doing anything? No, yeah. It was that bad. They said, you know what? This kid, Frank Miller, wants to write it and draw it. Let him do it. It's in the toilet.
Right.
And sometimes this only comes about, great innovation only comes about when everybody's given up and they're just like, look, just whatever. If a guy wants to try something, let him try it and see if it works. And then you have something that works. And that I see that happen so many times, especially in comics books, where a title is just absolute garbage. Fantastic Four was absolute poo-poo. And then John Byrne said, I want to do Fantastic Four. And it was just great for 5-6 years. That happens so much. And the thing is, I hope we don't have to wait for D&D just to be the point where it's so abysmal and the sales are so miserable that they're saying, look, what do you want to do? You want D&D? Yeah, take D&D. And they give it to somebody that's willing to say, I want to do what I liked, which is bring it back to what it was, which is dungeon crawls and hex crawls and going, one of my favorite products for D&D, and I used to get a lot of flack for this, but I think people are starting to come around, is the Gray Box for Forgotten Realms. Ed Greenwood's first product for the Gray Box is what they call it. It was the first Forgotten Realms book. You open the box up. It has a different world. It's not Greyhawk. It's a different world. There's all these new nations. There's new gods. It is a perfect sandbox. It said, here's a nation. Here's what it's kind of like Egypt. This one's kind of like the Shire. This one's kind of like this. There's this giant 4-square map. Go explore the world and have a great time. And I remember opening it up and feeling like I'd felt, this is like what, 1987? I felt like I felt back in 1977. I felt the same feeling like, wow, here's this gigantic vista for me to explore. That's what you need to bring back, that feeling that, look, here is a wonder in a box. There's this, you open the box up and you're just going to be blown away by what's in this box and what you get to do by what's in this box.
You have no idea. You don't know anything about it, and it's all brand new, right? We talk about BECMI, and BECMI introduced a campaign setting that we didn't know anything about, and then we got all these gazetteers that came out and sort of peeled it all back step by step.
Unfortunately, it was too much, right? It got to be too much. Like, I don't need to know all the personal history of the guy who owns Mallmaster, or I don't need to know all these tiny details that aren't important for me to have fun playing, D&D. And that's what happened eventually with second edition. I think you can make a case that's what happened to every edition since then. That's what happened to third edition, fourth edition, fifth edition. You get to a point where you have to keep releasing material, and so you have to keep delving further and further and further, and you get more and more niche, and that's how you end up with barista, with magical baristas serving coffee in the, in this magic school, which nobody wanted, but somebody out there thought this would be a great way to play D&D, because you feel like, well, we've done everything else. Nobody wants another hex crawl. Well, you know what? Maybe they want another hex crawl, but they just wanted you to change it up a little bit and do it a little differently. They don't want the same thing. They want that, but they want it a little different. And like I said, the wonder we had when we opened the gray box for Forgotten Realms, I don't know. Can you name 5 products since then? Maybe Planescape. I remember opening Planescape and thinking, "Whoa!"
Sure, I'll make a list. Right, so it's the Forgotten Realms Gray Box set. It's Planescape. It's Tolus. Holy shit, that book landed with a gigantic whack and thud.
Yes,
I haven't thought of that in like 2 decades.
Don't worry, nobody else has. It's okay.
It was great at the time, though. It blew
I know. It was huge.
Blew doors at the time. Yes, it was great.
That's right. I would say City State of the Invincible Overlord, if I want to go back a ways.
Oh my gosh, yes. At the time, oh yeah.
Right. Pretty groundbreaking.
I would throw, what I'd throw in there, one of my favorite products ever. I would throw Undermountain in there. I remember Undermountain. I can adventure in here for years.
Minzo Baranzan is one that they don't get enough credit for. I would say the 2-inch original first printing of Call of Cthulhu, because holy crap, what's in this?
Absolutely, the big box, the thick box,
box, the big 2-inch box.
Oh my gosh, you're right, Jim. I remember when that came out. Wow, it blew me away. 1981, 80, that was a revelation. But
think about this: the 3 boxes that Chaosium published after that: Massive Nyarlathotep, Cthulhu by Gaslight, and Cthulhu Dreamlands. All 3 of these are radically different box sets. All 3 of these are open box, go nuts. All 3 are different from one another, and it just demonstrates the amazing depth and thought process that Chaosium had at the time. Mike's hunting for things. So I mean, and come on, we could also.
I wanted to show you a modern one. I think Eric would agree. This is a pretty amazing little box here, Mothership.
Nice.
I had a very visceral reaction to this opening. I thought it was really cool, and I was like, "Wow, that's some interesting concepts I never really thought of role playing." I think really good stuff.
So let's talk about Barrow Maze. Let's talk about the Thieves World box set. Let's talk about Hot Springs Island. I mean, there's all sorts of these that you could speak to.
But, okay, so Jim, which one of these when's the last time WotC has released a wowzer product? Because everything we're naming here, we're not naming anything WotC's done. We're naming stuff that TSR has done, that Chaosium's done, that small print publishers done. what has WotC done that just was a wow? And I can't think of anything unless
I
you.
got one. The 25th anniversary silver box set.
But that was still TSR. That wasn't even WotC. That was 1999.
No, you would be wrong. It was in fact WotC.
Oh, because they bought it in 97 or 98.
It was a WotC product.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I will also say the small wooden box with the reprints of the first core books.
That was a wowzer. Yes, very much.
That
so.
was a wowzer, right? The potential is there. They can do it if they get off their duff and run with it. So,
Well, then we need that. I would love to see 6E come out, and I'd love the initial product to be a barn burner. I want to see a box that opens up, and I'm like it's a totally new campaign world that I've never seen before, that nobody's ever adventured in, and we're just like, wow, it's old concepts, but it's been made new. This is really interesting without any pandering or weirdness. It's just a cool concept. I'd love to see that. I don't know what the chances are that WotC's going to manage to pull that rabbit out of the hat, but I think that will be something that'd just blow me away, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to give them a chance now. This, maybe that should be a future show. We need to take our 5 or 10 best products that just blew up, that we opened up and said the potential for this. Because you got me thinking now, Jim, of all the items that I bought back in the day that I got home and I opened up, and just the potential was just like, oh my God, I can do this, this, this. I mean, and a lot of them were some of the original TSR products, like Top Secret, like Gamma World, and then same with Call of Cthulhu. The first time I opened the first box set, Mass and Nyarlathotep, I opened that up and it was like, this is a campaign. Oh my God, crosses the world, 5 different continents, and I'm reading it. And I think I spent the whole weekend not doing any college homework and reading Masks.
No spoilers. If we talk about Masks, we cannot spoil Masks.
Oh, I don't know if you can spoil it anymore, but I'm with you. I don't feel like spoiling.
Oh, there are still people to this day. Yeah. I run into them all the time. Who have no idea what's at stake with Masks.
Everybody's heard my stories about Masks. I won't tell it again, but yes, it's such a seminal event. But I mean, those kind of items, I don't know that we have a lot of them anymore. And I don't know if it's because we've seen so much and we're either jaded or there's just not that many great ideas left out there.
I disagree. I fundamentally disagree, and I'll tell you why. Because we have no shortage of clever people on this show. And I don't mean the 3 of us. I mean, we have all sorts of people that come on this show who are great, thoughtful, intelligent people. I love that there are so many incredibly talented people in the industry. One of the people that I'm sort of working with Gary about getting to North Texas is connected with Arc Dream Publishing, because he wants to come to North Texas and run Delta Green. Oh, wow. And Delta Green has been some of the hardest hitting mythos material of the last 30 years, right? And it fits exactly into what North Texas is about, and I'm fingers are crossed. But what we see is this incredible wellspring of creativity and so on and so forth. Here's what I always throw out when the subject of box sets come up. They're expensive, right? And if you're paying somebody to hand collate it, it's even more miserably expensive. You have to do art and get the top and bottom box lids printed. Then you have to get all the components printed and so on and so forth. How the original brown boxes got done, it's because they did 3 booklets and then they did these leftover boxes and they slapped sticker labels on them and called it done. I applaud box sets, but just like James Raggy's god-awful monstrosity that we all bought at North Texas, it's possible. But you have to be willing to spend the money. You have to have a product worthy of doing this, right? That's the other, is that what keeps a lot of this from happening, it's just not good enough to warrant a box set. But we've seen things that are, right? And somebody says Adam Scott Glancy's running Delta Green at my con, Texoma Dungeon Con. if you're watching this and you can get in
I'm close
Clancy's
by.
games
I'm
at
close.
Exoma, you should do that. That man does not run a slouch game, and I am encouraging you heavily to get in a Scott Glancy game, and it will change your life.
Them big words.
I don't say them lightly.
I know.
And there's a
Well,
reason
it's in
that he
Oklahoma.
won
That's in
the
Oklahoma.
Walter
That's close to
lookalike.
me. When is it?
There's a reason he won the Walter lookalike in the Seattle Big Lebowski costume contest. There is a reason he won Walter, and I assure you, its numbers are 357. So, like, really and truly, I can't say enough good.
I'm glad. I mean, I know that, like I said, I think this wowed me a lot when I finally opened it, and Eric had done a review of it, and I bought it and opened it. It wowed me quite a bit. But there hasn't been, but it didn't. It maybe just like it's just being older. It's different. It takes something different to wow me. I did like Raggy's giant 3-volume, whatever that was, but it did. I mean, it was like, okay, it was cool, but it didn't like make me immediately want to run it. And that's when I think about something that wows me, I think about something that opens the box and I immediately want to run that product. I want to run that for friends because my mind's imagination juice is just flowing, shooting all over the place up here. Call of Cthulhu did that. I remember opening the box and go, I can play Lovecraft the same way that I did when I opened the Holmes Blue Box and said, wait, I can be Conan the Barbarian. I can be Fafhrd and Grey Mouser. This is something I've been dreaming of my whole life. And I don't know. Like I said, WotC, the products we named were really they weren't brand new products. The 25th anniversary is a retread, and so was the Brown Box set, which are both, I agree, are great products, but they're also back to the future, right? They're stuff that they did before. I mean, like totally original products. I don't think there's anything that I've read that has made me want to run out and grab a WotC product for the last 10 years. Like, well, I've heard this product is just so good.
I would say this: most of what I bought from WotC in the last 10 years, I've regretted buying, which is why I haven't been buying anything for the last year or two. But it's true, right? And the problem is that I pick it up and I look at it, and artistically, it's just limp. It's limp, and no amount of RPG Viagra is ever going to do anything to stiffen it. It's as limp and flaccid as it can be.
Okay, I'll give you a modern one that I think is I looked at is the Aliens RPG. I've
heard nothing but great things about it. I've heard great things about it.
And I thought I looked at it and I didn't necessarily want to run it, but you know what I want to do? I wanted to play in a game. Once I looked at it,
very well.
Yes,
Greg Christopher ran a session, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, for a bunch of us, including Jeff Jones. And my God, I had no idea. I knew just enough to run my character. That's all I needed. Mm-hmm. It ran which
is the absolute measure of a great game. Alex Kamer runs an incredible game of Alien. I've heard many. And sadly, he will not be at North Texas next year because his daughter's graduating high school. But he runs an incredible game. If you have a chance to play with Alex running it, grab it. He runs a great. I mean, so yeah, that's one of those games that I looked at and said, I would love to play this game. I thought like I said, I don't know if I'd like to run a Mothership game, but I would absolutely play in a Mothership game in a second. Because I really love the concept, and I can see where a really good game master could go with that to make it really an excellent experience.
I think Mothership works very well with the interaction between the GM and the players, and it is very much a reactive environment. It is a very, even though it is Aliens, even though in a lot of ways it is Traveler. You can see the Traveler trappings when you read the rules. It feels very much like an old school dungeon should be hitting. All those key elements that if you're buying into the situation, which you should be if you're playing that, you're gonna feel that tension. You're gonna feel it, and the rules reinforce it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Eric. Go. I was going to say, assignment before the end of the year. Let's have a show. We each take our 10 most in items that we opened up and went, wowzers, I got to run this. So let's all make a list. And whatever show before the end of the year, 2 weeks from now, we've got Ignatius Umlaut, who's going to talk to us about.
But also next week we've got our Christmas recommends.
So maybe the week after that, or we'll look at it.
The week after that will be Christmas Eve, and I know we're having a discussion. I got to see what's happening at my house. There might be things moving around. We may be able to do the 24th. I don't know if anybody will watch us on the 24th, which is why
I'll be available because we don't usually celebrate Christmas till Christmas Day.
We celebrate both days. You think we're Italian?
Oh, that's Italian. Well, I'm Italian too. I just don't have any Italian. All my other relatives are Mexican, so they're going to church on Christmas Eve. They're not.
Okay, so we sort of reached the 10-minute point.
Oh,
Mike, yeah. I'm assuming that. Do you have music with you this time?
I don't have any music. I don't have any 5 items. I'm still on the beach, and I'll be on the beach next week too, guys. So we're
okay.
We're going to do Jim's movie.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I do. So I tell you what, Jim, do your movies, and I'm going to do my 5 Christmas movies.
All right. So this is the time of year when movies get cheap because Amazon wants to make room in the warehouse.
Oh yeah,
I'm a fan. So this week it's The Shadow with Alec Baldwin.
Oh my!
Mm-hmm. And so, interestingly enough, in the 90s, we had this weird period of time where all these great, interesting heroes finally got movies. We had The Phantom, Slam Evil, and somewhere I have 3 or 4 of the old rings they gave out at Best Buy when that came out. I've got, we had The Shadow. It was a glorious time. These are not the greatest of movies, but there's a whole lot of interesting scenery and so on and so forth. And at $10, I'll take a Blu-ray copy of The Shadow. Next up, this one's for my dad. It's Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, great movie! Yeah, great,
fantastic movie. If you look over my, leave me up here real quick. If you look over my shoulder next to my little plushy D&D guy, you'll see my Robbie the Robot. This was one of my father's favorite movies. It's William Shakespeare's The Tempest on Altair 4. Leslie Nielsen plays the heroic, dashing ship captain answering a distress call. I won't spoil it. It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Great movie, yeah.
I got 2 bonus movies. Okay. This is the time of year when you should go to the library and you should check out Die Hard. And you should get your copy of Die Hard now so that you've got it and you'll have it in time to watch it on Christmas Eve. Pro tip. Because they'll auto-renew you.
It is a Christmas movie.
It plays all day. I go to my in-laws for Christmas breakfast, and it's always on the goddamn TV, playing on whatever channel they're on. And I'm always there for the same damn spots. Why is he crawling in glass again?
Don't think too hard.
Anyway, and then the other, which is the first one, was one of my favorite movies when it came out, and really and truly, it touched my soul. It was fabulous. And this is the sequel, Nobody, number 2. And if you haven't seen them in order, you should see the first one before you see the second one.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. He's the guy plugging away at the job and shenanigans. And the second one picks up the way the first one ended. It's just good fun.
So I'm going to give you my 5 non-traditional Christmas movies that I try to watch every year.
Good.
Right, we're going to start at 5 and work our way up. Gremlins. Okay.
Oh, excellent.
If you haven't seen Gremlins, you got to see Gremlins. I can't even describe it. It's an experience. You just got to experience Gremlins. Little evil creatures that multiply when you don't obey the rules, and people, for some reason in the horror movies, don't obey the rules, and bad things happen.
And let's give Phoebe Cates credit. Because Phoebe Cates delivers a horrific monologue in that movie
about what happened to her father.
When she does, it changes the tone of the movie significantly. And they're making a new Gremlins movie, so that's well played.
But you will giggle while she's telling the story, even though you're not supposed to be giggling.
You're not supposed to, but here's
you
the
will
warning.
Giggle. There's the warning. There's the things you don't do. Number 4 is a movie it came out in the early 70s. It's called Black Christmas. It is one of the most horrifying horror movies I've ever seen. It has a very young Margot Kidder in it. I don't remember the female star. It's about some sorority sisters who stay at the sorority house for Christmas. They don't go home. And there is a guy in the attic, and he is making phone calls from a phone up in the attic to down below. And these phone calls are horrifically frightening. And one by one, he starts picking the girls off, and you're left guessing the entire movie. It is actually a scary movie. It is very frightening.
The call is coming from
Inside the house. Oh yeah, from the attic and that. Then Bad Santa 1 and 2.
Oh,
if you were easily insulted or easily offended, do not watch these movies. They break there is not one taboo that Billy Bob Thornton does not break. He uses words that are not used in polite company to describe other people, but you will find yourself on the floor laughing despite whatever you believe in your life. Don't let your friends know you watched it, because there's a lot of really, really rough stuff in there. But
I'm not saying that after everybody went to bed, I've been watching Bad Santa on Christmas Eve the last few years. But Die Hard, I'll play Die Hard, The Thing from Another Planet, and then after everybody else goes to sleep, Bad Santa 1 and 2 go in. Because
and you have to giggle, and you're trying to stifle your laughter so you don't wake everybody up. And then my last one here is a movie called Fat Man. Fat Man has Fat Man. Fat Man is Walter Goggins, and it stars Mel Gibson as Santa. And the plot is Walter Goggins is an assassin hired to kill Santa Claus because this one kid's on his naughty list, and the kid hires. And this is a world where basically people realize that Santa does exist. He does go around the world. He delivers presents. And Mel Gibson is a hard drinking, burnout. He's lost his faith in Christmas dude who hires out the elves to work for the U.S. military because he's running out of money to give presents. Walter Goggins is an assassin that for some reason Santa only gave him one present ever and then forgot about him, and he's never forgiven Santa. And so once this kid hires him, he goes on a quest to go to the North Pole and take out Santa. And just roll with that. There's a gunfight at the end, like an old Western, and it involves machine guns, rifles, pistols, grenades. I mean, it's so over the top and ridiculous, but it's really, like I said, it's one of my favorite Christmas movies out because it does have the Christmas spirit. Eventually, Santa comes back to find the Christmas spirit as he's being hunted and by the Walt. Of course, Walter Goggins is great in everything he does. He's just spectacular in this. And there's one scene that if you go online, you just go to YouTube and find the scene where Walter Goggins screams, "I'll have your head, fat man!" And he's got a gun in his hand.
So here's a pro tip, right? This is what I would say. Anybody watching this, if your father has a great sense of humor, if your father sat with you so that you could see National Lampoon's Animal House and the first time you ever saw boobs, if your father's that guy, they sell a Bad Santa 1 and 2 gift set.
Oh my God.
I'm begging you to buy this and give this to your father for Christmas, because for all the times that your father stayed up and built your damn bike, for all the times that your father lugged all the shit in from the garage and wrapped it at 3:00 in the morning, for all the times that you woke your dad up at 6:00 in the morning to open presents after he had gotten 3 hours of sleep, for all those things and 100 more, please, Bad Santa 1 and 2, they are the linchpin of all the kids are in bed, this is it. And if you have family, that has kids, if a cousin or somebody else or whatever, this is a secret best shared. But Bad Santa 1 and 2 are chef's kiss.
Billy might be Billy Bob Thornton's.
But yes.
Oh dear.
My dear Lord, what is that?
Facebook screws up links, and I only like to do it. Normal length would be to click on the video, and then we'd all hear it start playing.
Nice.
I can't even click this.
Hold on. I'll mute myself. Click
on
the video.
in the
No,
Facebook.
no, we're good. We're good. I'm
No,
I'm
it
going to get the
appears.
actual real link.
No, it's good in. It appears good in Facebook. But if you want to see a little bit what Fat Man's about, just watch this clip. It's the best clip from the movie, and
Excellent.
it's 2 minutes long. It's hilarious. But yes, Bad Santa 1 and 2. You know,
Oh,
look. You don't have to let your friends know you watched it, or your mother, or the neighbor that lives next door, or your Sunday school teacher.
Or your
Just
spouse.
keep it under wraps that you watch it, and
this is a secret we're sharing with you.
maybe
Treat
your
it as
eldest,
such.
you take your eldest son or daughter, if she's got a sense of humor, and you let them into the cult. You say, don't tell mom we're watching this, but
That's
we're going to
right.
watch a special movie tonight. Kind of
If
like I
you've
did
ever
with my
wrapped
grand.
gifts at 2:00 in the morning and wondered why in the hell it is that you're the one stuck doing the job, watch Bad Santa 1 and 2.
This is the same way I introduced my grandson to Austin Powers. I say, we're not going to tell your mom we watched this, are we?
That's right.
Because
It's it,
Austin Powers is
if
something
my
we're just going
my
to
grandfather took me to go see the last remake of Beau's Jest with Marty Feldman and all the rest of them. This was a filthy movie that a fourth or fifth grade, I think I was in fifth grade, I should not have been taken to
Oh
see.
no, you should not
Right?
have.
There's a guy looking at a Playboy, and then the it's in the barracks of the French Foreign Legion. There's a guy looking at a Playboy, and then they pan over to the guy laying in the bed next to his, and he's blind, and he has a Braille centerfold that he's feeling up. If you know somebody that would laugh at that, you should
There
buy
you
them
go.
Bad Santa
This
one.
Marty, this is Marty Feldman, right? Big eyed Marty
Yeah.
Feldman was, yeah, he was great. Okay, so
My
I had an
movie, by the
experience
way,
like that
was Caddyshack. That was the movie
Oh, yes.
that was the movie my father was like, you don't tell your mother you saw this.
You don't tell your
Mine
mother.
was Young Frankenstein with my dad, and it was like, we're not going to
Oh,
talk about Young
sweet mystery of
Frankenstein.
life. At last,
We're not
I've
going to
found
tell our mom that we saw Young Frankenstein, because I probably shouldn't have seen that movie when I saw that movie. I was probably like about 12 or 13 years old. And that was
I have a friend. I have a friend who he and his parents weren't getting along. Right, like it was on the cusp of that angry teenager phase.
right.
And I don't know. He was like 13 or 14 or whatever, and his dad was like, "Screw it," and took him to go see Porky's, and like howled laughing like they had the best time. And then on the way home, he was like exactly that. He was like, "Don't tell your mom you saw it. Understand that we all have a sense of humor, and I don't want any more of this shit." Right? And it fixed them. But it was Porky's. That was the movie that
But I
fixed
guarantee you that kid was a legend, or that dad was a legend after that.
them. Right. Like, oh my God. I was nicknamed Lassie. I
Yeah.
can't tell you, Mom. Oh my God.
Yeah. The movie I took my son to that I probably shouldn't have was 300. Because
I mean, it was history, though. You're teaching him history.
it was history. It was very
It was a terrible
had
version of the
boobies.
history.
And he was just like, I'm like, shut up, kid. You tell your mother I'm never gonna hear the end of it. She just
I mean, at least that way your son got to tell people he had seen a Gladiator movie, I guess.
yeah, a real gladiator movie.
The real stuff, man. This is a history lesson, kid. We're learning about
Right.
history.
Yeah. It's accurate. Trust me on this one. Totally accurate.
I'm looking at Young Frankenstein, and it came out in '74, but I could not have. There's no way I was 11 years old. I think it might have been a re-release, because my father would not have taken an 11-year-old to see Young Frankenstein. I just can't believe that would happen. So I think it was a re-release in about 76, 77. So I was still about 13, 14 years old, but I was probably too young to understand a lot of what Young Frankenstein was throwing out there. But I did love it. I did think it was hilarious, and I was glad he did that. So so that for Christmas, if you want to take your kid to see oh, I just remembered the story. So my brothers and I, every Christmas Eve, we'd spend Christmas Eve together with our families, and we'd always bring 3 movies. Each of us would bring a movie. And our whole goal was to shock the other two about something that was so un-Christmassy that we still liked the movie, but it was so un-Christmassy that the women would all just look disgustedly and leave the room. And my favorite year by far was, I think I brought Glenn Ross. What was that movie?
Glenn Ross.
Glenn Ross, because the Christmas spirit, obviously.
And you should have given somebody steak knives.
And then I think my brother Robert brought what was the movie where Clint Eastwood was the guy and they invaded Grenada?
Hamburger Hill. Hamburger
Yes.
Hill.
Yeah, no, not Hamburger Hill. God, what was that movie? But he's the old burnout, Marine. He gets the terrible group of guys, and I think he
Mario
says
Van Peebles is
Heartbreak Ridge, and he says every cuss word. No, like we put the movie on, within 5 minutes, every woman had left the room. It was just me and both my brothers. And the third movie, of course, was Pulp Fiction, because nothing says
Hacksaw Ridge. That's it. Yeah,
and that was our favorite Christmas night ever. We cleared the whole house out. Everybody's like, we won't have nothing to do. The kids are not allowed to go in this room. We're going to shut the door. You guys keep it down, and you just do whatever you want for the next 5 hours. We want nothing to do with you. These movies.
The other great one, if you want to clear a room, is and really it's the scenes with it's We Were Soldiers Once and Young. It's based on Hal Moore's great book, but it's Sam, what's his name? Sam Elliott as Basil Plumley, the unbelievable legend of U.S. Airborne. And at one point, Plumley's walking across the quad, and one of the soldiers under him says, "Good morning, good morning, Staff Sergeant," or "Good morning," whatever. And without missing a beat under his breath, Sam Elliott just growls it out and says, "Who the fuck told you it was going to be a good morning?" And it's like, yes, yes.
Well, just the heart. If you've ever seen Heartbreak Ridge, the whole first scene is Clint Eastwood telling a story, and if you're of the gentler persuasion, you can't make it through the first 5 minutes of the movie, because the story he's telling to the other people in the cell with him is so over the top and ridiculous and obscene that you're either in or out. At that point, if you're in, you were in. You're like, I am.
So another movie in that sort of category of movies to get people out of the room so you can wrap Christmas presents. I like this category a lot, right? So if you have never read the book, your library probably has a copy, or you should probably be able to find this for about $1 at a used book sale. But 20 years ago, there was a guy named Tucker Max who wrote about his misadventures with alcohol and shenanigans. And he's a fairly infamous real life personality. But they made a movie of the first book, which is I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And it begins. I think the movie begins with a very standout scene where the cops have been called by a hotel staff, right? A hotel motel staff. They've called the cops because of the horrific noises that are emerging from a hotel room. And so the cops, they get up to the hallway and they're outside the room, and the noises coming from the room sound like somebody's being murdered. And they knock and there's no answer, and they knock and there's no answer. And the guy with the motel keys opens the door and they storm in. And our protagonist is having loud and raucous sex with someone.
Oh.
And of course the cops grab him thinking this is an assault, and they pound him into the wall, and guns are drawn and so on and so forth. And it turns out that the woman he's with is deaf, and that she's the person making all the noises and so on and so forth. And the movie just goes downhill at a rocket speed from that. But that too is in the category of movies to clear the room so you can get Christmas presents wrapped. But you should put that on your list as well. Tucker Max, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
I just marked it here. I'm going to see if I can find that somewhere.
Oh my God. It's one drunken shenanigan after another, and morally reprehensible. Absolutely.
Well, that's kind of our thing, morally reprehensible. Yeah. So
if you liked Bad Santa 1 and 2, you'll love I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
Yeah, it'll get you in the, I have to say, a little fat man and a little, I still haven't seen Gremlins or Black Christmas, but Fat Man and Bad Santa 1 and 2 got me in the Christmas mood this year. They did its magic. It always works its magic with me. I feel jolly, and I feel like, I like to spread a little Christmas cheer. Those are happy little movies. So I'll have to finish up with probably Black Christmas next, and then I'll finish up with Gremlins, because Gremlins is kind of a sweet little story at the end. It's about how you should obey rules and not break rules, because you break rules, bad things happen when you break rules. Whereas Black Christmas is just a horrific horror story it still scares me to this day, because it's so freaky and so frightening. So I have to keep checking my attic all the time, make sure there's not some psychopath up there with a knife, and a telephone calling me.
So next week, folks, is our Christmas buying suggestion list. So we skip Black Friday, but we're going to try to recommend stuff that we think you'll all like and would make either good gifts for yourself or for other people that that are RPG connected.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a guest the week after, and we're still discussing what we're going to do about Christmas Eve.
Mr. Fight On will be after that. Yep. And then the week after that is actually Christmas Eve. Whatever you guys want to do, I don't think like I said, I don't we have plans that night, but
I know
our Christmas mostly happens the next day. We're going to do. We don't
Same here. So
we'll see what happens.
We got to do it at two places. It's like,
oh dear. Well, if we have to skip, we'll skip. I mean, we're not gonna skip. But then the next week is New Year's Eve. So what do New Year's Eve? I'm absolutely not doing anything New Year's Eve because I'm old.
An old fuck. I don't go out.
I'm old. I am not. Look, we're in by 9:00 drinking champagne and we're probably passed out.
Yes, Foogly, I got your package yesterday, and if you think I'm going to paint all that, you're out of your mind. Okay, I do have the old man glasses here now. So I could put them on, and I could do this. But yes. By the way, folks, what was in your package that includes? Hey, you're gonna paint stuff.
What are you painting? What are you painting now? What are you painting?
And I came in this nice little advent calendar.
How sweet. Package. Was there a mini in every advent thing? Is there a little mini in each one? Now that would be a great advent calendar.
Yes.
Oh.
There's lots of mini minis. And it appears to be like tavern-like stuff.
Okay.
But unless I can convince my niece to start painting minis, I'll pay her. But it probably. Oh man, I do look old doing this. Yes.
And by the way, just another quick plug. Last week of January, game day, North Texas game day in DFW at the West End, Friday and Saturday. So if you're in the area, we'd love to have you over. If you're not in the area and want to travel, I think Kim George is flying in from Wisconsin. I think Foogly's driving 8,000 miles from Kansas or wherever. So if you want to come into town, you're welcome. So just letting everybody know, I'll be running games. I don't usually run games at cons because I'm too busy at North Texas, but I will be running 2 games. Not sure what I'm running yet, but I will be. Gary will be running BattleTech. It'll be fun. And you guys are welcome if you want to come too. I know you guys have busy lives, probably can't come, but you both are very welcome to come. So
I will probably have to miss this.
I'll probably have a
I'm gonna be lucky to get the TotalCon this year right now, but
that's right. You got TotalCon in February, so you'll be February, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You'll have something real close to that, so that's not going to work. So, and then Page is 2 weeks before the mini con. So
I am not going to be at Page.
Oh, you're not going to Page. Oh, okay, well,
I'm not going to Page. Something wasn't going to make the list.
You're not one of the 100 special guests, Ron. I'm just kidding, joking, Ron. If you're watching this, you're not one of the 1,500 special guests. I mean, attendees that are attending the con. Ron, joking.
You do know that there's a second Page Con, right?
Yes, and it's a week before North Texas, so good luck with that. I mean, actually, you know what? It doesn't bother me. It's in New Jersey. It's probably going to be 2 absolutely different audiences. So, if you're in the East Coast and you want to go see a con, go check out whatever that con is. But we're not too worried about it. We're very close to selling out North Texas. We should sell out by the end of the year. So
get your
if you haven't got
now.
your ticket, you might want to get a ticket pretty quick here.
You might want to think about it.
Mhm.
By the way, the channel picked up like 65 subscribers today, so
Oh my
and the
god!
night's still young. So thank you all if you're
Wow.
one of the new subscribers.
I had a lot of fun tonight, guys. I laughed so hard a few times, but I love these shows we have where we're not really have anything planned, and I end up just laughing so hard I'm crying. So
this is a really fun show. This is
yeah,
a
it was
really
fun.
good
I had
episode.
a blast.
The chat we hit here, little peek behind the curtain. We hit 67 live viewers at once.
That's insane.
2 from Rumble. So 65 on YouTube, 2 from Rumble. Thank you to the Rumblers.
We didn't even talk about anything useful. That's amazing. I love it.
We did. We talked about all right, 60. It's not useful.
60, yeah, 60 brought them all in, didn't it?
I'm not saying that it was a useful conversation, but thanks to everybody. Really do appreciate it. We hit 70. We will hit 8,000 subs by the middle of the month, I think, at this rate.
Eric, you deserve it.
And we didn't have to pay for them.
They're not paying for it. We're making content.
I'm really glad that you're Eric. You deserve it because you've worked hard all these years, and you're working crazy right now. I mean, you're on the show every night. I mean, it's ridiculous.
This week's going to be a good one because remember, this coming Sunday night special returns at 9 p.m. with Joe and Joe. And last Sunday, I was on Inappropriate Characters. We rolled back on Rumble. So, yeah, no, what's 5 live streams a week? Come on. But
is Inappropriate still just one day a month?
One day a month.
One day a month, okay.
It was actually a very good live.
I need to check it out. I'm sorry, I've not watched it yet. So
no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's on Rumble. I know it's like slumming.
Rumble.
That's
something the kids do. The kids are on that Rumble.
The kids do that Rumble thing, right?
Yeah, they do Rumble thing.
It's when your car vibrates because you have those big speakers in it. You got that Rumbler. No, not quite.
All right.
But thank you to everybody. Okay. Thank you to Mike and Jim, of course. The show wouldn't be what it is without these gentlemen. Same goes for the other live streams. The live streams work because nobody wants to see me talk for an hour on my own. Trust me. I wouldn't. You couldn't pay me. So that's why I have great co-hosts. I sit back and I enjoy. Oh no! Listen, the Penosaurus. It's going to be a big mini. Are you looking at
I got to watch Inappropriate Characters now. I guess.
Yeah.
I got to find out about the Penosaurus now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. Folks, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. I'll be back tomorrow on the Vlog of Many Things. There's another video coming out tomorrow. There's a collab with Joe and Joe on Friday, and members only Friday evening. I know.
Hey, look, my fan club's in the comments. Woohoo!
Can't stand. Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, well, hang out for 2 hours and we'll start taking it seriously.
Wow, you bring Jim brings the milkshake to the